You can truly experience life's fullest potential when you develop the skill of being ultra present, not focusing on the moment, but stepping back and feeling every single thing about that moment. That is what it means to be ultra present, and it is the ultimate human experience. Welcome to Build with Rob. It's your boy, Rob Dyrdek. You know what it is, systematically fusing art, science, and magic in all aspects of life and business, continually and forever. Design, automating, and optimizing all aspects of my life and life systems. Knowing that my mastery of time, energy, and clarity is giving me a fuller, clearer, better life. And that is what this is all about. That is what this show is about. This is why I do it. Of course, to just share my overall philosophy of the machine mindset and my way of life, um, which is interesting. It's interesting. It is fun. It is joyful. I recently saw an interesting quote about, the idea of like um, living in a state of joy is really your goal rather than trying to be happy, which I just believe in at the highest level. And again, philosophically, you've got to design a life, understand all of the parts and systems that make up your life, and then continually get better and better at operating them so that you can stay in that perpetual place of joy. And instead of looking at joy and happiness as some sort of outcome, that harmonious high quality life that I preach, is that ongoing everyday goal of having your present experience be this amazing, purposefully designed moment in time that you intended to live and experience, um, by design, right? Like that is the entire core of my overall philosophy. And today I'm talking about this like idea of ultra present. And I kind of call it ultra present, as almost like one step deeper into being present, I've shared in the past, my philosophy of the idea of going from the present experience to the future creation on sort of an ongoing basis, a future present mastery, if you will, um, in order to continually create a better future experience and a perpetual sort of ongoing basis. But this is really more about, thinking about how to experience the world in a more vibrant and more deeper way, right? And I never really thought about this concept even at all until I read the book The Greatest Secret. And The Greatest Secret is the same author who wrote The Secret, which is essentially the law of attraction, and in general, it's this idea of like understanding, that awareness is everything. That's sort of the idea of the greatest secret is, um, shifting your sort of overall being to just awareness of feeling in everything around you, rather than trying to be in the state of thinking about everything that is around you, right? That's sort of the concept of the book. And again, for me, it's it's who we are as individuals, who we are, and depending on what state of development or level that we are at in life, and when we read or hear something, how it affects us or how we can apply it to our lives. The same with anyone that listens to this show. Ultimately, as I've said in the past, I just want you to get something that you connect with that you can add to your overall way of life to make it better. And that is what happens to me all the time with different books. It's just one or two things that like bam, like okay, now I can see how that makes sense in my philosophy and how I look at life and how um how all these different parts of my life connect together. And this is an interesting one for me because I never really thought about it, right? Like I never really thought about the importance of the present experience as the outcome of your life design, your intention, everything about why you developed and created uh plans or goals or anything to have a better future. It's so that you can really feel and experience the present experience the way that you want to experience it and have the type of joy on an ongoing basis that you want from a happy life, and but this is like a step deeper into it, right? Like, and here's a simple way that it's described in the book for you to think about is like, we're like when we're going from thing to thing, even when we're being present, we tend to like spend so much energy focusing on the experience or a part of the experience rather than sort of the whole, and how they explain for you to do a simple exercise to understand it is like when you just like stare and look at your hand and then look back and look up and then look at every single thing in the entire room. In the difference of your awareness when you can begin to see every single thing and then begin to like hear everything, smell everything, like sense everything. That is like where this higher level of awareness exists that we seldom like ever get to. And to me, I like to refer to it as like ultra present. And it is when you are intentionally stopping yourself and really trying to feel, way beyond just like experiencing the moment, but feel every single aspect of what is happening around you, to you, and what you can see in your entire awareness, right? And man, it is just something for me that it's this deep amplification of your present reality, and in these bigger moments in life, you tend to kind of do it automatically. For me, I talked a little bit about when I got attacked by a shark, when I went to the Bahamas and put on the chain suit for Fantasy Factory to support the Wild Grinders toy launch in Walmart, when I'm out here doing that fully integrated multi-platform marketing, tied to a ridiculous stunt, um, of how important I just kept telling myself, feel this, experience this, understand this, and it's so vivid in my mind, and I the same thing when I got married. I just kept telling myself, feel this, look at everybody, look around, look at the sky, look at the building, look at the grass, like look at everything. Like, and then when my children were born, look at this, feel like I like even everything about my children's birth is so vivid to me because I didn't just allow the moment and the experience to be pass me by, but I slowed down to really feel the entire experience. Those memories are embedded in me in a much more deeper way. And it's not, you know, it's twofold. Obviously, these are big milestones, or in the case of getting attacked by a shark, it's just a wild stunt that you are never going to do twice. That you are only going to do that one time and add it to the highlight reel. But, for these, getting married and the birth of your children, these things make sense. But after I, really started thinking about this idea of, what the value of, shifting your attention to awareness, rather than shifting it to this thinking state, but just feeling versus thinking, I just really began to look at all aspects of my life and experience, and continually try to drop down into that feeling all the time, because it's hard to do in everyday life, because for the most part you're moving from thing to thing, and even in and bigger opportunities, and different sort of things that you're thinking about, or your mind share is a part of. So by the time you get to experience something that is something you created, a lot of times you're bouncing in and out of a lot of different thoughts in that experience. And for me, I just have slowly began to get better and better at trying to go a layer deeper and be ultra present. Really trying to, as I'm, walking with my kids in the neighborhood, like, man, I will just think to myself, like, okay, like they are, look at them, and look at this neighborhood, and look at the trees, and feel the wind, and look at the grass and the cars, and the like stepping back and seeing everything, and like really feeling like what is happening, rather than just walking along thinking about something else, right? That is an example of pushing yourself to be, deeply present with purpose, rather than um you know, sort of doing it by trying to do the best you can to, be in the moment if someone's talking to you. I think for the most part, like when we think about being present and like our expectations of it's like, you know, we think about it from this lens, at least I do, of like, hey, you're spending time with your wife or your kids, but are you really there? You know what I mean? Like, you're at work, but are you really there? You know what I mean? Like, that's this, like, you gotta be more present sort of, um, way that I think is feels way more like you have to be working, right? Like, like, try to be, um focused on what your kids are saying, or the conversation you're having with your wife, rather than thinking about something else, right? And to me, like, of course, there's a ton of value in that, right? And again, how do you become more present? Well, you have a more balanced mind, and ultimately the time that you've created to spend with your significant others or other people that it's important for you to be more present with, that it is done in a way that allows you to show up there, with more energy, with more intent, and more focus, in order to be in that state. But the step beyond that is then experiencing life, through feeling the presence on an ongoing daily basis, and I do think it's easier, to do for bigger moments. I recently was in the great city of Orlando, Florida, for my 4.5-year-old daughter's pageant. Okay, my 4.5-year-old daughter was in a pageant. And, I was like, whoa, okay, what's the age? I mean, we're in the middle of some toddler and tiara stuff here. I was kind of like, what age is the right age to do pageantry? Now, earlier in the year, we had a great adventure to New Jersey, where my wife won Miss Queen of the World, and my daughter got to see that, and we got to live in and enjoy that experience. And so now she wants to do, um a pageant, and so we're like, "Oh, this will be cute, it'll be fun, no expectations," but then, it turns out they've gotta, like, do this whole thing on this stage in front of everybody by themselves, and it's like, "Man, I don't know if, like, she is capable of doing this." So it's like I'm spending all this time, as I'm watching her practice, and we hired her a coach, and you know we hired a coach, and said, we're gonna do it right. We're gonna do it right. And like she wasn't focused. She wasn't focused. It was like, did you even want to do this? Did you, type of, what's your real motivation here? Like, is this too much for you at too young of an age? So when we were going to Orlando, I'm was more worried about like, man, is this even gonna work for her? Is this gonna be a bad experience? Is this going to like actually do damage? Like is sort of what I was overwhelmed with while um in the process of getting to this pageant. And the very first day was like basically a full run through practice. And so I was gonna know straight away whether or not like this overwhelmed her, whether she rose to the occasion, whatever it may be. And of course, in my heart of hearts, I'm like, man, she's got that Dyrdek clutch gene. I know she's got that Dyrdek clutch gene, because, and the reason I thought that is like every time she would do her first practice, her first try would always be really good. And then she would just lose interest by the end. And to me, that was a sign of like, hey, yeah, when it matters, I'll step up and make it happen. But, lo and behold, we come to this very first one. And I'm like, man, they send her out on this stage by herself and just dun 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 dun. I don't know what that song necessarily represents, but it represents execution and confidence. This little 4.5-year-old just knocked it out completely. I'm just like, man, all the worries aside, she's got the Dyrdek clutch gene. We're good. We're good. And the moment I was relieved of that, then I got to spend that entire weekend. Every time, like I saw her, every time, like when she was just like walking in the hallway, I would just be like just trying to like smell the Floridian air, the sogginess of my skin from the humidity, and just looking at her and truly experiencing it. When I was watching her on the stage, like, and walking, like, it's like, man, this is this incredible experience. Open up and feel it at like such a deeper level, and hearing the people cheer, looking at the people in the crowd, looking at my parents and my father's face, and my wife scared, like, and Coda sleeping on the floor because he'd had enough. It's soaking in that entire experience. I just dumped in and felt it, and was deeply present for it, rather than just being there and worrying about how she was going to do, or being concerned with the outcome, or anything beyond that. I got to live it and experience it and embed it in me in a much more richer, more dynamic way. And, for me, um, it was my intent the whole time when I got there, because now I do it all the time, uh, throughout my entire life. And it's not necessarily about a big event like that. It is about, sometimes it'll just be me, sitting at a bus stop, being in a meeting, like, even sometimes being on a Zoom call and feeling the entire room, and you're never not like overwhelmed with sort of gratitude and sort of peace for the experience that you get to live through in your life when you practice being ultra present. When you allow yourself to pull away from fully focused and out wider and experience the whole of your human experience, there is a sense of peace that comes along with it, a sense of gratitude and awe of the life that you get to live, man. And for the book The Greatest Secret, they really refer to that as like, hey, this is the ultimate way to live a truly joyful life and true happiness. And but easier said than done to live on a nonstop basis, because you still got to lock in and focus to create your plans, to create a better future, to execute, to do so many different things that you get to that are part of the human experience and the present that you are currently experiencing based off how you designed it. Not everything is meant for you to be fully present in, and certainly not everything is meant to go a deeper layer and be ultra present in it. But man, if you can add it to just another thing that you think about and another way that you want to experience life. And so when you do end up in moments and do have the free mind share to go one level deeper and see the world in a wider, more aware way, it's going to make that experience that much more vivid and rich and amazing. And you will feel gratitude because you can't help it. Like I'm telling you, you just go out in your front yard and look at everything. Just look at it all. Look at it all. Look at the trees and look at the bark and the way it's all designed and how nature works, and look at the houses and how they're like, really look at it, like stand out and feel it. It's like, man, we live in this incredible world. It's you can't help but feel that when you go wide and stop focusing and see the whole. And that is, a very special aspect of being ultra present. And when you can really layer that into your life experience, and as you design your life and time that leads you towards present experiences that are really built around enjoying and really feeling. And then you add, how do I go one level wider and see this whole thing and soak this whole thing in. It will be something that you do on an ongoing basis forever. It really changed the way that I look at what it means to be present and what it means to experience just about anything. And man, I just do it in every single aspect of life, from kids' soccer games to business meetings to looking at my car and looking at every single aspect of the car and where it's sitting and where I'm at. Like, it's just, it is endless how this can be something that you really enjoy doing and enhances your life in the human experience. So I hope that all of you think about that as you continue to evolve into the very best version of yourself. Make no mistake that enjoying life and experiencing life is really the goal, and the more detail you can see in that, the better the experience will be. But you know what it is. You gotta look out into the future and create that experience. You gotta create the plan, the pathway, and the milestones to get to that experience. And if you want to experience that in the ultra present, then you got to give it all you got to make sure it happens. Until next time, see it, believe it, do it.